a analysis on Bitcoin. This is the first video I've done on Bitcoin. So I'm going to have you walk through it with me and show you kind of how I do this, kind of a new way to count with Elliott wave theory and using Fibonacci, the fibs, retracements and extension tools to help forecast price targets. Right now I have it on the monthly time frame, just to kind of give you a look here, what the chart looks like here on the monthly. I have again, I'm trying to count all waves in 3, whether it be an ABC pattern or a WXY, and I will stick to rules and of each of the patterns. I'm just trying to do an overall super cycle count in 3 waves, no matter what chart it is. Okay, so let's break down as close to the beginning of the chart as we can. So we're going to break down this section here, and then we're going to gradually get to where we're at now. So let's go to the daily time frame, and let's get to where we need to start counting. And right here, let's get the first blimp here, the first little section here. All right, so this is back in December of 2018. We're going to start December 14th, 2018. Click on the Fibonacci retracement tool. We're going to count waves starting here on December 14th, 2018. We're going to go up. We count the top of this wick, because this is all we have to deal with on the daily time frame. We're going to assume that from December 13th, the price continued all the way down to this is the futures chart, by the way. So on this chart it says 31.25. So we're going to assume that once it hit 31.25, well, okay, let me restate that. We're going to assume on December 13th that it closed at 32.16, then it opened at 32.34 and went higher, and then closed on 14th. So on the next day, or on Monday, looks like this was a weekend, on December 17th, it was a gap from here to here, and price continued till 35.66, and that was our first pullback. So that's where we're going to start our first measurement. This gives us our long pullback here, so you can see that this was a significant fib, the 161.8, big drawback here. So on probably a minuet or sub-minuet degree, we're going to say this is an ABC on sub-minuet and a minuet AB here to give us our target up here. So it's what I'll do. I'll edit the fib here, take out everything that doesn't affect us. Then we'll cut off the extension. We don't need it's not going to be we're so early in the move, we don't need that fib to continue for future price action. So we're going to cut the right extension off. We're just going to move it closer to what the fib actually is. Right here. All right. So we can come back later and quickly analyze that this is your first move. A, B, and a C. Or subdivided, I mean. So now we're going to measure this entire leg to get the top of our minute degree time frame. And you can see we're off a little bit on the fib. And that has to do because on the last leg, it was looks like some kind of ending diagonal. Okay, so but we're going to count that as a 150. Take out all the fibs that are not related. Cut off the extension. I'm just going to leave that there. That's pretty close. So now we have our minute degree or minor degree. Not sure. Don't quote me on the degree of the trend right now. I'll go back and label it later. I just want to show you how we're counting, how we're using the Fibonacci retracement tool to actually get the extension. So we still label them the same, A, B, C, same as Elliott wave. We're just trying to count everything in 3 waves instead of 5 waves. So maybe somebody would have counted this, in a modern Elliott wave count would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, and an extension for 5. Okay, and this would have all been an ABC correction, but we're all counting everything in ABC or WXY. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and let's label this one here, since we've already counted the internals. And again, I don't label these traditionally how most people label their Elliott waves. So I do it more color coding and just make the font size smaller according to the degree. I think that, to me, that makes more sense. Okay, so now we always want to keep these fibs written down because that's going to help us predict which fib we need to probably focus on later on. So now we've got your first leg up. We need our second leg down. Remember, we already sub-counted these. So to predict our second leg down, we're going to go ahead and use the same tool, Fibonacci retracement. Click on the bottom of the move to the top, and right now you have to look. If you're in doubt and you see that some the end of the move doesn't hit a particular fib exactly, work backwards and find the one that does. Which there's one here, one pretty close here, but this one is the one that should draw your attention because it's a single move. This move here looks more like a triangle pattern, so we're going to come back to that. So we're going to go ahead and say this completes our first pullback. So it would be subdivided and what looks like a zigzag. So 3 moves down. Well, they'd have to be subdivided 5 waves, I believe, for a zigzag. So 1, 2, because with the gap, you can indicate some kind of 5-wave structure. 1, 2. Sorry about that. Or it might be a flat. The ABC flat. That's probably what it looks like. So subdivided to be 1, 2, 3, and then your B in 3, 1, 2, 3, and then your C is 1, 2, 3, 4, and it really should be this fifth one here. So this is probably where it ends, and then all this is finishes the leg A, B, C, D, and E. This is your triangle, and then it completes in 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this actually completes your full correction. So now let's figure out how what some of these fibs are. So let's take this out of the way, because this fib, this these numbers I have up were the forecast, and I'll do it again. This was to forecast the pullback size. Okay, so you leave those up when this isn't when the candlesticks haven't formed yet. You leave it up, and as it's moving in, then we can forecast if the move is over. So let's say we've called the top here, and we're short on Bitcoin going down. So your first move down, you want to look for the 23, the 32, 50, and 61. Well, as the price moves through each target, you can either take a little bit of profit and hold till we hit the 61.8, which is, I'm just saying that's this type of strategy you can hold till it hits 100% retracement. But it depends on how the moves play into your retracement. So you can see the momentum really didn't change till we get to the 61.8. So even that gap right there. So a lot of people probably would have held their short position more or less until they see a significant pullback. So here it hits the 61.8. You start to see a reversal, and until it tries to reach this new high here, and fails to even reach the same high. So we can do this also to see how much the second leg retraced up into the first leg here, which I have these dash retracement lines in gray because sometimes that signifies from what I've found, the way I count it, the way I use these retracement tools, is that when it gets into that gray area, there's some type of triangle forming. So let me take that out. So now we see that it hit the 85%, and it's starting to reverse down. And then we find out later that our triangle pattern was right here. Okay, so now it's clearly defined that we had our first leg down here. So we can take this first measurement, and this will give us let's see here. I have a 123 that overlaps a fib right here. Which one is that? The 76.4. So that whenever you have a fib that overlaps, that is usually going to be my main target. So let me put that back up there again. Measuring the first leg. Let me highlight the ones that overlap. These are the ones that overlap, and this would give me my final leg of the move, whether at that moment, I don't know which degree it is. I just know that it would be a completion. So then I would close my position and wait to see how the next leg forms. So in this case, we have our A, B, C. It's complete. C finishing in 5, which most C legs do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, unless it's in a triangle and it's going to move in 3. So the way I count moves, again, everything's in 3. And when you have most of your 3 move corrections, the C is always in 5, except for triangles. So now that this move was complete, let's get this out of the way. I'll leave that there. So now we see that there was this wedge forming, okay, and it's also a descending wedge. So usually you would have, well, let me say this. So we have our first leg up, RA, and we've already seen 3 waves for what could have been a B right here, 1, 2, 3. So we would have anticipated price moving up, but when this wedge formed and broke lower, this just tells me that the move wasn't complete. So that's one reason you want to go ahead and, if you've made money on this move here, close position and wait for the next leg to form. So in this case, it formed a triangle and broke lower. So now we can say, okay, we need to measure something to figure out if this leg is done. So if we have this as one leg and the triangle maybe perhaps would have been a second leg, is this leg a third leg, and is it done? So in order to find some kind of target, first of all, you know that your baseline is right here, 31.15 or 31.32, somewhere around there. So if we break that lower, then we know we need to be looking for lower targets and measuring some of these waves in here to find lower targets. But right now we're going to assume that this was some kind of reversal move, and we're going to try to find the bounce to move higher. So all we have to do is measure the whole move from here to here, see what kind of targets that gives us. Let me highlight that so we can see what we're dealing with. Okay, so when it comes to triangles, and when you're measuring moves in 3 counts, it's a little tricky. Let me redo. So one way you can do it is what I just did, is measure the previous move, or you can take the first move in the triangle and I should have done that first, especially because we're so close to the bottom. So let's highlight. Let me undo that again. Okay, so let's keep this in blue. And you know what? I'm going to zoom in on this one here. Okay, so this is our first leg up. And I know that this is my first leg up because when it started to come down, we opened down here. So I'm going to assume that it bounced at a low point and then started to rise up. So now I'm looking for something that hits pretty close to the fib. These two hit pretty close, but this is a higher low here. This is your lowest low, but this one right here hits exactly on the 123.6. So I'm going to count this is the bottom, and this was the start of complex correction with a expanding flat. And I've stressed it over and over in the videos until people start figuring out that this is an ABC expanding flat, and it shows like this. Nope. Okay, so here's our expanding flat. We start here with our A leg up, and our B goes actually lower than the A, and the C is higher than the A. So that's what is deceiving about this move here. This is an A, B, and a C. So it makes a lower low, but really our end point was here. So this gives me a target that maybe now we can start to look for a reversal, and that I'm going to get rid of that, and now maybe get this back into picture here. Lost track here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so now this gives me a point of origin that now this could be, the correction could be complete for the B wave. So I will put a B here. And now we're looking for a C up. So the first target, I'm going to get rid of some of these fibs here. So now when we have two legs, this is really the best scenario for trading, because now your stop loss and account for expanding flats is basically that's your stop loss zone. And now our targets for the upside is still based off the A first initial leg. This leg right here. Okay. And the first target would be the 123. Probably the 100, when it's that deep of a correction, the 100 would have been a great target. But in most cases, the 123 is, I've found it's usually a pretty good first target. So let's try to find out where this move stopped at. And we want to look for significant consolidation. And it looks like the 200, it hit right on there. And we had some consolidation there. So I would write down the 200 fib and put it all together. When we counted this first wave, when we first started counting, we saw a 161 and a 150. Now we have a 200. And I went ahead. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. I had already previously counted it. I wrote it down and marked it as an A on a bigger degree. So now we have our first leg in 3. You see it? 1, 2, 3. Now we need to find our pullback, our B. And let's say we don't know any of this right now. So all we do is we grab our same tool that we've been using, the Fibonacci retracement, start at the bottom again of our very first count, and click on the top. All starting from the 23.6 all the way down to the 100 is will bring us our correction retracements for the next degree B. All right, so right now we have 2 degrees of trend that we've counted, more or less. The sub minuet. Okay, well, I guess 3. But anyways, so we're looking for a B. The first leg down on B hit exactly the 23.6. Typically, these corrections aren't that shallow. Usually, the most shallow is 38.2. But in this case, is what has happened is a triangle formed. Now, in the corrections, it's very difficult to trade. Even if you remember back here, this correction ended up forming another triangle, another leg down. So these corrections, the B waves, are very difficult to trade in. So usually is what you have to do is go to a lower time frame and find the A and the C wave inside those and trade those. Anyways, what happened here on this correction is we got a triangle, A, B, C, D, E. Okay. And then we proceeded higher. So now, how do we find targets for the next wave? Same thing we've always been doing. Click on the top of our A wave to the bottom of the start of A wave. And now we find significant consolidation and a fib that it reacted to. Well, we see a gap right here. This is something that we may have to interpret later. It hit right on the 50, pulled back just a little bit, and then gapped up. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so our consolidation is in between the 200 and the 161, or the 261.8. See this square? Is what this is a measurement of the gap. And let me zoom in here. So this measurement of the gap tells me that if it didn't gap here, this candlestick would have closed right on the 200%. Okay, so I have to take that into consideration. So this gives us our next A. All right. So on our next B wave correction, it was some kind of A, B, C, and then continued higher. Now, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Let's put this back on the weekly. So now I've done this is the same type of measurements, and we've got our bigger cycle degree A here. Got a B down, looking for a C up. Now, I've done some measurements, and I've got right here we have a triple correction. Okay, this brings us to the triple correction that started in March of 2024. Okay, so we're going to take this as one leg from here to here, which started in November 7th, 2022 to March 11th, 2024. So we take the top of that, bottom of that, and what does it give us? Gives us a target right here at 104,581. Go ahead and write that down. 104,581. All right. Now, if you notice, I have another fib that it overlapped. I'm trying to remember which fib that is. Okay. So if you look, can see here, this move is in 3 moves in the shaded area. Hopefully you can see that. So I took the last move and measured top to bottom and got 104.58, 104.581. So those two overlapped. Now, I also, let's see here if I'm okay. Yeah, I also took these 2 moves, the first leg up and the second leg down, the correction, added those together, and we got a 361.8% right here on the triple, which started the triple correction, and that lined up with another fib. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to point out is that I can still count these in 3 moves. They're adding up. Right now we're starting to get a little bit of consolidation at 104.581, and our next target is 111. Let me make sure that yeah 111.091. Okay, and that's based off this first leg here. Okay, so to fine tune our target is what we really need to do, is get into this last wave here, and we really need to get it on the daily time frame now. Okay, so this was the start, the end of our triple correction here. So we have 1, I've already measured this out. I'll go ahead and do it. 1, 2, 3 to give us our minor degree A. See how that hits right at the 150% there at 74152, I believe. Okay, and then that gives us our bigger degree A, so you take the top of that, and this is where we fine tune our final. I really need to zoom in on this one, make sure that we get an exact measurement. Gonna go ahead and highlight it. Okay, let's see where that's gonna bring us. Keeps on highlighting there, doesn't it? Yeah, so it broke through the 200% fib. Okay, So again, you can barely see it, but the 261.8 is right at the 11 110. What is that? 11,000 mark. 110,000. I mean. So that's looking like a pretty good target. We need to fine tune it one more time. So is what we need to do now is measure these subdivisions here. So let's try to find out how many degrees are right here. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe this is a 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. So let's find this first move. Look at there, right at the 261.8. So we're going to count that one right there. Let's mark that one. And a lesser degree, we're going to go minor. Or minute degree, I'm sorry. Put that in white. So our B leg is AB here. Now this is going to be our final tune for our target. So we take this A leg here, measures it right here. Here's our 123, and it looks like it's consolidating right around here. So maybe this is a subdivision. So it hit it already. So A, B, C. This is our. Let's give this another go here. Looking like maybe this might be a B. Alright, so in that case, let's measure this leg. Here's our 123 at 107,850. Our 111 targets were up here. Here's 111. And the next fib closest to that is going to be our 150% at 116. Let me activate this, make sure I'm hitting. Yeah, that's a 123 here, 150, 160. There's a 200 here at 123. Here's an overlapping fib here at 132. So it looks like, I don't know how high it's going to go, but I think with a little bit more confidence and conviction, I can say we are going to move a little higher. I would say 107. 107,546 is the next target. 107,546. Okay, so let's clean up some of these last fibs here, because now you know how to measure in three ways. Trying to clean this up real quick. See, we don't need that one. We don't need this one now. This one. What was this one here? Oops. Oh, okay. This fib here was just to show the correction out of the first A. This is our cycle wave B. There's a lot that goes on right here, so I don't really have time to get into it, but I can get rid of that one right there. So I think let's put this back on the monthly, no, just the weekly real quick, and just trying to find two more long-term fibs that line up, and then we can. Oh, there's such a mess down there at the bottom. I can't find the bottom. Let's see. The bottom here is at 31.31. Okay. Oops. Remember that. 31.31. Okay. So we're going to measure the top of A and put it down here at 31.31. There's 31.35. That's pretty close. Zoom out, see what that gives us. All right, well, right now it's at the 161. Let's see how, which is 104.659. Let's see how close that came. You can see that's pretty close. So, I know I gave you some higher targets. But we have to take in consideration that we might be getting ready for a pullback. Yeah, so here's a pullback though. That was, remember, this is the weekly time frame, so this could have been a whole week of correction. It just doesn't seem like it's done correcting. So I would say that get your Fibonacci retracement tool. Think of this as an expanding flat, and that maybe this is the top. Measure the bottom of there and look at right on it. That's the 150% fib, and look at the rejection off of it. Let's zoom in there. Oops. So if indeed this was the top, and this could be an A, B, and then the C has to be, it has to go past the start of A for an expanding flat. Remember, this is reverse direction. So A, B goes past, would make a low, lower low in this case, and a higher high for this expanding flat. But for this one, it's going the opposite direction. So the B makes a higher high. Okay, that's, and again, this is on the weekly time frame. So that means going into Monday, I mean, the B could go higher. It could go up to 200%, right, and still be an expanding flat. So, but yeah, hard to. I think most of the expanding flats that I've encountered, they usually don't go up to the 200%, and if they do, they definitely don't go to the 261.8. But anyways, I think that's what we need to be looking for, is that on Monday, a correction for, if not the completion of this leg, but I don't think it's complete because of the degrees that we've counted in that final leg. I think at least maybe one more degree left, but I don't know yet. I would say that we should expect some consolidation here, and if this is an expanding flat, that's just going to be one leg, and then we would need to really look for bigger three waves. So this would be maybe an A, a B, and a C, and it comes down to 70. I don't know quite yet, but I just know that we need to be looking for some retracements here. So let's go back out to the monthly and clean up the chart a little bit, and we'll end it on that. Oh, so yeah, that's right. Okay. I made a mess there at the end, but let's get rid of that. So I would say, yeah, maybe a type of correction that maybe even tries to test that trend line here. So it's something to keep in mind. So, but if I'm, like I said, if I'm counting this in 3 moves, we could be near the top. Again, let me give you one more. See, that 150 just nails where it ended last week, and then it overlaps with this. Where's that at? 31, right? I mean, those two overlap, and when they overlap, that's usually telling me we're going to have some type of reaction. So, I mean, it's definitely possible that we could retest that trend line, and then that's one move. We just count this whole thing as 1, 2, and then we're moving higher. So then that would be a massive leg higher. Okay. And if that's the case, I mean, it would go, well past the 200,000 mark. So, but again, you want to really watch how the moves lead into the fibs, and how you can count the waves, and it will give you how many degrees, and if you're going to anticipate. I always try to at least look for 3 around the primary, intermediate, and minor degrees. Try to count those are easier to anticipate than trying to incorporate your minuet and sub-minuets into the move. So I hope that makes sense. I hope it helps. And like I said, we might go a little higher to 107, 546, but I am anticipating some kind of correction now. So good luck, and I hope that helps. And until next time.